Hello everyone and welcome back. This is fishsandwichpatrol bringing you the best in Total War analysis, though not necessarily the best Total War gameplay as you can see. But give me a break, it's been like 3 years since I played Total War, and I've just been really bored lately, so I'm going to do a battle commentary. So I loaded up the game, loaded up my avatar, and didn't mess with any retainers. I just went with the army that I had already pre-set up from 3 years ago and just roll with it. So here's what I got. It's a classic fishy katana corps. We got 6 katana samurai. We have 2 of my beloved Yari samurai who I would never ever forget about. I love those guys. And 1 Yari Ashigaru who just had a little extra money left over. Got 2 bow samurai. I love those guys too. You know, not many people really use those, but I love how they can stand a fight in melee combat. And then for my cavalry, I've got the classic fishy light cavalry. Got 2 of them, actually 3, my bad. Got 1 here with the general and then 1 on each flank to make a play for the buildings, and of course my melee general and 2 Yari cavalry. Over on the other side, wouldn't you know it, we got a whole lot of warrior monks. We have a bow corps actually of warrior monks. We got 5 bows, and they're kind of actually a mixed variety. I thought they were all monks, but on replay I see that they're not. They have a bow hero, so we know that this is a bow corps. And I'm going to have to try and crack this nut, as you always have to do with missile corps, because you know they love to make you come fight them. So they got some Daikyu samurai though, a couple bow warrior monks, and a bow samurai. They have 2 cavalry units outside of their general. 1 is hidden in the tree over here. But they have a fire cavalry. I think their one was like a Daikyu samurai. I'm not actually really familiar with that unit. It's been a while, but yeah, and he has a bow general, as you might imagine. So for the deployment, I deploy myself in a neutral stance here, right in the middle of the 2 buildings to see where we're going to go. We have a light cavalry on each side to make a play for the buildings. Obviously, he's going to start on the side that has the archery dojo, because, I mean, he's a bow corps, obviously. But luckily for me, on this side of the map, we have the workshop, which is going to increase the armor of my dudes and really put a dent in their bow usage. So the light cavalry over here is going to start by going off to the workshop. Really going to need that armor if I'm going to crack this nut. And I'm going to end up just seating this archery dojo because I can't really challenge him for it quite yet. Instead, I'm going to take up a position on this hill, so I start moving all my guys over there, and I'm pretty safe in the knowledge that I'm going to get the workshop. He has 2 cavalry units outside of his general, so he's not going to take half of his cavalry force out of the fight just to stop my light cavalry from capturing this workshop. So I'm getting a free building here. That's nice. I'm also going to try and get the sword dojo if I can as well, because I'm right here in the middle, and hey, every benefit you can get. So my guys are going to start moving. The light cavalry is actually going to start making a play to delay the archery dojo, but I'm going to have to pull off from that pretty soon because he just has all those bow warrior monks and he's going to just decimate my light cavalry. And I'd rather not throw away any unit for free, even if it's just a light cavalry. So he's just getting out of there, knocking out a warrior monk cavalry. That's what it was. I think they're named. No, they're not named anything weird. So knocking out a warrior monk cavalry. So monk infantry and cavalry units with bows is going to be a very hard nut to crack, but I have the advantage in numbers. He has a very quality side army. His army is very expensive and he doesn't have numbers, which is something I do have quite a bit of. Despite my veterans and being pretty experienced veterans at that and my katana samurai, I have a pretty decently sized army. That's one reason why I really like light cavalry. It just gives you more units to play with, and that's going to be huge for me in this battle. Just having more units to kind of split his forces, but we'll get to that in a minute. So he's going to dismount and capture the archery dojo. I cannot challenge him at this point because I just can't close the distance fast enough for that to stop fighting or stop him from capturing this building. I'm just going to move nice and slow, and I got to be patient because I have to get the correct approach if you're going to attack a bow corps. If I get pinned down like in route and my units get all mixed up and I can't move and I lose the mobility, I'm not going to be able to beat a missile corps. The key to beating a missile corps is mobility. You have to be able to close that distance and get up and mix in there with their bows and cut them all down in melee. Or out skirmish them if you have a bow advantage. And it's been a while since I've seen a missile corps versus a missile corps. It could be actually pretty exciting, but that's not going to be this fight here. The fire cavalry is setting up in the trees. He's got a pretty wide stance because, again, he just has to pin me down and cut me down with the arrows. So taking a wide stance with these melee armies, or these missile armies, ends up being a pretty normal thing. If you get too compact, you can get rushed and overwhelmed pretty easily, even with a heavily quality side army. So he's just going to secure his position on the archery dojo. I'm trying to figure out what I'm going to do because my first instinct was, well, I'm going to take the high ground here and go from there. And I got the trees here helping me to ward off some arrows and some cavalry as well. So I'm not scared of his cavalry. I have 6 cavalry units to play with. He only has 2. So I have a big mobility advantage, and that's going to be what I'm going to use to win this battle. closing that distance. So his Naginata monk cavalry is going to be over here, just trying to deny this area from me going around him. So my cavalry has to stay near my infantry. If they get split up too far, he can exploit that gap and pin me down with these Naginata warrior monks. Now his cavalry is going to actually break off now, and he makes a big mistake here, because if he had challenged me earlier for the workshop, he could have stopped me from capturing it, because I'm not going to throw away a light cavalry for nothing. If he went right away for that workshop over there, there's no way that I would have been able to capture it. Absolutely none. So what he's going to do right here is he's taking half of his cavalry force out of the battle for no reason. He's going to be taking out a light cavalry. It costs like 400 koku. It's a big, big koku disparity, and not just that, he's now lost O mobility on this flank. So now I know that this is absolutely my time to strike, and I can't afford to wait around taking up a strong position. I have to strike right now. So my guys are in a loose formation, and my cavalry's going to start moving. As soon as I saw that cavalry break off on the other side, my cavalry's going to go over here. I'm going to try and overwhelm this flank and use my infantry to hold down this strong side and maybe ward off his cavalry. So I was marking my light cavalry at this point. What I wanted to do is just try and mitigate the damage and hold down these guys for as long as I can. So I'm going to try to use the river to my advantage here and just let him slow down his charge, and just kind of break the charge and just try and hold him down as long as I can. So this is my chance. His bows are now actually firing at me. So this is absolutely my chance to attack. I can't just sit around waiting any longer. My bow samurai are starting to take the heat. So here we go. Got some cavalry micro over here. His Naginata monk cavalry are going to go right into my Yari cavalry, which is good because now they're pinned down. And I'm just going to have to make a simple hammer and anvil strike here with some of my cavalry. Not the best micro in the world, and it's a really bad charge, but hey, give me a break. It's been like 3 years. My light cavalry is almost instantly routed, unfortunately. My light cavalry is going to try and make a play for the bows, but he's just going to fire arrow and just absolutely decimate my light cavalry, and there they go. My light cavalry is off the field, so a little waste of money, but whatever. Looking at this cavalry, it's just about dead. Naginata warrior monks, definitely nerfed since the last time I was playing. There they go. They're shattered. They're off the field, so half his cavalry is off the field. Big mobility advantage for me now. My bow samurai is going to start cutting into these warrior monks with their low armor, going to be nice and effective. And I'm just focusing on my cavalry here. Just win the mobility battle. He's got his fire cavalry here over here trying to deny my cavalry from getting anywhere near his bows. So what I'm going to try and have to do is just pin him down. So I'm sending a light cavalry straight into the fire cavalry. I'm just going to pin him down with this weak, cheap unit while my other cavalry units go around and try and get through this hole. Because he has to position his infantry to block mine. Mine's right here, so there's all his held down in reserve. He cannot move those. These other two are going to be over here trying to ward off the cavalry, so he's split pretty far. And now time is of the essence. Time is going to be on his side with these bow monks just tearing into my units. Bow samurai are already taking heavy casualties, and my infantry is making the attack now. So how I had it set up, got the 5 in the front, and I have the 1 in reserve. I'm going to send 2 units right into his infantry just to hold him down, and the other units are going to try and flank and go straight for those bows. Again, I've identified this pretty easily as a bow corps, so if you take those bows out of the battle, this should be a pretty easy win, because he does not have the infantry numbers to back up anything once those bows are gone. So my cavalry, again, a little bit of a micro mistake. They're going to kind of stop and go into the marathon monks. Actually try and go for his bodyguard, and I'm going to get a nice little hole right there into his bows. So his bows are tied down. He only has 2 units shooting, and it seems like they're actually shooting this cavalry unit over here, this Yari cavalry, which is going to be pretty much useless. That's not the place you want to be firing here in this battle. So his front line of infantry, having only 2 units, is going to get absolutely overwhelmed. These 2 katana samurai are completely free to flank, and one's going to go help the infantry. Actually, excuse me, they're both going to go in the infantry battle, while the cavalry tries and just muck things up here with these bows. And they're taking pretty heavy casualties. This bow monk's already down to half strength. This one's lost about 16 guys. This one's lost about 1/3 of his strength. So his bows are complete disarray here. He's going to pull back and try and just hold this high ground for as long as he can and just try and pepper me with his arrows. But at this point, I've killed a lot of his guys, and in fact 2 of his infantry units are just off the field now and shattered, and one of his bows are actually routing. So his cavalry is going to make it out of the fight and make it back to the front lines, but unfortunately for him, my Yari cavalry held out long enough that this battle was essentially over by the time that cavalry got freed up. Those infantry units are gone. His bows are completely stranded. There's nothing that can help him. There's no cavalry because it's pinned down here, and in fact only has 14 men left. So his bows out here are just absolutely stranded, are going to be lost. He has a bow general, so he can't use his general to really go into melee like mine can. And now he's in disarray. What I'm going to do is send a katana samurai to try and hold down these bows, but they are moving really, really slowly up these hills and taking really heavy casualties. So another katana unit is going to go there. And right now I'm just sending the rest of my infantry to overwhelm these marathon monks over here, who are obviously going to stand a fight for quite some time. My general's cleaning up these bows around here, and the infantry advance is very slow. I mean, look at this. They had about 90 men when they were right here, and now they are down to 40. So, yeah, closing the distance on those missile armies is going to be huge. A Yari cavalry, though, is going to go and finish closing the distance. I see my infantry needs some help. They're actually about to break from that charge. My general's going to go and inspire that wavering katana unit, and I'm kind of messing up my micro here and just not playing very well. Like I said, I promised great analysis, but maybe not the best gameplay. The bow samurai are going to be taking the archery dojo. I never did go and get this middle building. I could have sent like the Yari-Ashigaru over there to do it. But speaking of Yari-Ashigaru, did you notice the major mistake that I made in this battle? That's right, I got so caught up in microing my heroic cavalry and katanas, I completely forgot about my spears. They're all sitting here hiding in the trees. Freaking Private Joe Snuffy hanging out in the trees, trying to hide, and completely missing out of the battle. So I had absolutely no spears in this battle, but I wasn't really thinking about spears. His cavalry force was not a big deal to me. I was not afraid of them. I knew he'd be taking a defensive posture with that bow corps, and he probably wouldn't be sending his cavalry around, using it more to block my charge rather than attacking, doing like traditional hammer and anvil strikes. So, not the worst mistake in the world, but those are numbers that I could use that speed bonus on that Yari Samurai to close the distance with those bows. One reason why I really love Yari Samurai is because they can close the gap. You can hit that speed bonus, and they move really, really fast, especially if you buy that upgrade that increases their speed. So I end up closing the gap. He has basically no infantry to hold. His bows are going to go down. The bow hero standing and fighting heroically, but going to get cut down. Now, I thought he was going to be, a lamer and like run around the map with his general, just wasting time. But props to him, he doesn't. He goes to the red line. I'm going to speed it up here. I just reorganize my forces. I'm going to send the Yari-Ashigaru to take here because I'm thinking, he's just going to run around the line and waste time. So I'm sending my spear units to go capture the rest of the buildings so I can win this battle. But he doesn't actually do that. He mans up and he brings his general here. And I'm going to accept his manly challenge. My general's out in front here, and I'm going to have a classic little general battle, so I'm going to slow it down and setting my guys up to get a good charge. Now, again, I have a melee general, and he has a bow general, so he's not in for a good time here. Before we clash, we got 17 men left in my bodyguard. He has 29. I'm going to do a nice little slow motion thing here. Let's see. The two lines crash into each other, and his units essentially wiped out from that. He lost half of his men in that charge, and I didn't lose anybody. So that's the power of a melee general. They can just really tear things up. So my bow samurai get a little fire attack. I forgot it's not a toggleable ability. It's a active ability that you have to use. So fire arrow is going to go down and clean this up. I'm going to zoom in a little bit for maybe some cinematics. He runs into my bows and gets a few little last kills before this battle is over. So, and then his general routes. That's the end of the battle. Good game there from my opponent. We're going to, I guess it doesn't even show the static screens anymore. The statistics. Maybe it doesn't. So anyway, that's my first battle in like 3 years. I completely forgot about my spears and had really, really sloppy micro. But the point is, the main strategy against those bows is you got to find a way to close the gap. If they have a missile advantage over you, then you can't just sit back and let them whittle you down. You have to attack. And keeping that mobility high is what you need to do. Split them up, crack the nut, find a hole, get through those bows. And even if you can't kill them in the melee fight, like if it's just a light cavalry going into melee against vastly superior numbers, there we go. You just got to tie them down so they're not shooting and let your infantry, if hopefully you have an infantry advantage, if you have disadvantage with infantry and missiles, that you'd be in a really bad spot, I guess. But let your infantry win that battle and just close that gap. And I'm starting to ramble, so it's been a while, guys. There's the statistics screen. Lost about a third of my army, but not too bad for my first battle in 3 years. So thanks for watching, everybody, and good luck on the battlefield.